just joined us on the System After Dark, this is a homegrown number courtesy of E3 and Cracker. Bulla, how's it going? I'm D, your host on the System After Dark, right here on Today FM. Today's hit music. You can catch me weeknights at 7 p.m. That's from Monday to Friday, only on the home of Today's hit music. And don't forget, that's D with you every weeknight on the System After Dark. Even got that homebrew flowing.
Good evening, this is FBC News. I'm Jackie Spade. Tonight, don't be swayed by politics that will take country backwards, says Prime Minister Vurenge Bainimarama. State lawyers to submit 2 reports on sedition case. And looters controlled warehouse cleanup begins. Prime Minister Vurenge Bainimarama has urged the people of Ovalau not to be easily swayed by politics that will take the country backwards. Speaking to chiefs, civil servants and the people of Ovalau in Levuka last night, Bainimarama warned they should be careful of what they hear and what they decide to do about it. Eleanor Tarangai View is in the old capital and files this report.
Almost a year after he spoke to the people of Ovalau about his party's aims and aspirations, Prime Minister Vurenge Bainimarama returned to the island. He urged the people to be aware of the political agenda arising out of the results of the 2014 general elections.
We have heard that there are sedition cases in the Western Division. I was speaking in Tabua and I told them we should be careful of what we say and hear. We should make our own judgment to whatever may come our way. If we make the wrong decision, we will end up on the wrong side of the law.
Bainimarama, who was accorded a traditional ceremony of welcome, said he knows who the people voted for in the elections, but that will not stop the government from assisting them.
I was speaking in Nandi and I've told them that I've already given $2 million. I was speaking in Sabu Sabu and I told them that I can see a lot of Sodelpa supporters. They were sitting and waiting to receive the $1,000 grant. I have seen them and I know them. But my party's promise will be to uphold that we have to treat everyone in the country equally.
He also warned the people to be wary of new and upcoming denominations that tend to twist old beliefs.
Many of the churches that are newly formed in Fiji have wrongly interpreted what this government is trying to do. That's why many people have been taken to face court because of sedition, including some of the politicians and chiefs.
Stern in his words, Bainimarama said no one will take away what truly belongs to the Itoke people, as this is enshrined in the constitution which he helped put together. Bainimarama told the people to make wise decisions that will benefit the children and not make choices that will hurt the people and the Vanua. The Prime Minister is in Levuka for the 3rd National Climate Change Summit. Eleanor Tarangai, FBC News.
The Lautoka High Court has ordered state lawyers to submit 2 reports regarding a case of sedition. One report concerns the detention of 3 accused persons at the Namboro Maximum Correction Centre, and the other is about 2 juveniles detained with adults. Madhyam Bolaitamana has the details.
36 people from Ra charged with sedition and urging political violence were produced in the Lautoka High Court today. Defense lawyer Mark Anthony told the court 3 of his clients, Meli Nasalasala, Galita Vakadengu and Penasio Lunga, have been detained at the Namboro Maximum Correction Centre. He said their detention is in breach of Section 13E of the Constitution, which refers to the rights of arrest and detention of persons. Anthony also highlighted the difficulty he has faced when trying to get access to his clients at the Natambo Corrections Facility in Lautoka. He said a testament to this is that he did not know that he was representing 2 juveniles. In his ruling, Judge Justice Tusara Rajasinghe ordered the office of the DPP to submit a report explaining why the 3 men are being held at the Namboro Maximum Facility. He also asked the DPP to submit a report explaining why the two juveniles were remanded in custody in an adult prison for the last 14 days. Justice Raja Singh ordered that the pair be remanded in the Lautoka police station for their case to be heard in the Nandi Magistrates Court tomorrow morning. The juveniles will then be transferred to the Juvenile Center in Suva. Meanwhile, the office of the DPP has asked for full disclosures of the case to be made available to the defense in the next 7 days. This is the largest number of accused persons to be produced in the Lautoka High Court today. The case also attracted huge crowds as family members and friends came to see their loved ones. The case has been adjourned to the 22nd of September. Madiam Tamana, FBC News.
The owner of Atlas Trading Limited in Suva has begun clearing away goods from a burnt warehouse in Vatuanga. Today, trucks and vehicles were seen clearing large pieces of metal and iron, a day after looters helped themselves to goods inside the building. 4 security guards at the warehouse said there were no more problems with looters since yesterday. Police spokesperson Atunaisa Sokomuri says police have declined an interview, saying the issue does not concern them and it is between the property owner and the insurance company. Attempts to get in touch with the owner of the building proved unsuccessful today. The Fiji Higher Education Commission has ended its first industry academia collaboration meeting on a high note today in Suva. The meeting has looked at ways to solve the growing problems students face while being prepared for employment. Akusita Tale has more.
For the first time, institutions, industries and other important stakeholders gathered to find ways forward for higher education in the country. This will in turn lead to developing relevant and quality graduates for employment. However, one of the issues is to return the apprenticeship scheme to have more skilled people.
The apprenticeships are the old apprentice schemes that we used to have before. They were 6 years, they went down to 5 years, and basically most of them are 4 years at the moment. And these are people who go in to get jobs, and as they are being trained and go out into industry work and come back for block studies at the universities, they get paid while they are studying.
The Commission will work with the providers of the industry to introduce more national qualifications and thereby have national standards.
So, for instance, we have a certificate level 4 in automotive mechanic now offered by many different institutions. So the public is confused which one is the better one, what's in it. What we want to do is have a national certificate level 4 in automotive. All institutions take it as a minimum benchmark.
The meeting hopes to ensure relevant stakeholders work together to improve Fiji's higher education sector for offering relevant and quality programs and graduates. Akusita Tale, FBC News.
Parliament prorogued, marking the end of the first parliamentary session since the elections. Secretary-General to Parliament Viniana Namosi-Malua told FBC News that effectively this week, prorogation marks the end of the current Parliament calendar. All tasks are carried forward to another new year of Parliament, which begins next week on Monday. On the new Parliament calendar for the remainder of this year, there's a 1-week sitting in September and a 1-day sitting in October for presidential nominations. Rounding out 2015, November 6th is scheduled for the national budget announcement, with the week of budget debate to follow a fortnight later. In 2016, Parliament sittings will be for 1-week sittings scheduled in February, April, June and August. In the news ahead, road upgrade to Nausori Airport expected to be completed by end of year.
Oya wa watisoni dalai.
Gonga yang masih dong.
Nama kikirau bena tolu kina bitu. Ena via kami moliti kina porombuka.
Goria na lali ne kami. Bula FM number 2 ena seri.
Prime Minister Vorenge Bainimarama will soon be announcing Fiji's very own percentage target in reducing carbon gas emissions. He revealed this while opening the 3rd National Climate Change Summit in Levuka today. Eleanor Tarangaivu with this report.
No community is immune to the drastic effects of climate change. And while very little is our fault, Prime Minister Vorenge Bainimarama says that doesn't mean we cannot cut down further on our own carbon emissions and be good global citizens.
We may be small and unable to force change, to force the world to act. There are certain things we can do and we must do. Even if we can't stop these events, we must improve our ability to cope with them, to build a national resilience to the effects of climate change, improve our own disaster preparedness, and also play a leadership role in helping our Pacific neighbors to do the same.
Bainimarama says it is unfair that our own carbon emissions are almost nothing compared to those countries with big economies and big industries, yet we have to suffer the most.
This does not mean we are going to cut our own carbon emissions and be good global citizens ourselves. We will. And I will soon be announcing Fiji's own to set its target to reduce our emissions before 2030.
Heading into the COP21 summit in November, Bainimarama says small island developing states are getting a sharp lesson in the reality of international politics, where the strong do what they can and the weak suffer what they must.
We are not going down without a fight. We are going to Paris with one voice to tell the nations of the world, enough is enough. Make the binding cuts in carbon emissions that scientists say they are needed to reduce the emissions and lower the average global temperature, or be condemned for all time for being immoral and extremely selfish. Making the vulnerable and defenseless like us suffer so that they can maintain their lifestyles is not acceptable, and we are going to say so and continue to say so very loudly.
The National Climate Change Summit will provide a platform for sharing of information with communities and public-private stakeholders on government's commitment to addressing climate change and how better communities can be prepared to addressing disasters. Eleanor Turangibio, FBC News.
Education Minister Dr. Mahendra Reddy has confirmed the ministry is looking into how their email system had been compromised. This comes after 900 schools received an email criticizing the government and the 2013 constitution. Reddy says the Ministry of Education IT staff is now investigating to find out how the security of their system was breached.
We are aware of it. We have asked the IT system to investigate who is behind the circulation. It's rather unfortunate. We don't want such baseless and incorrect emails being circulated in our school system, and whoever is responsible for that will be taken up for task.
Thank you very much. The emails circulated under the name of Vitimbula are alleged to be from a woman in Australia who is an outspoken critic of the government. A report on the importance of mental health and burden of mental disorders and suicide has revealed shocking statistics about suicide. The report indicates more people have taken their own lives compared to the number of people who have died in road accidents annually since 2012. The president of the Fiji Alliance for Mental Health, Dr. Odile Chang, says suicide is a major public health concern for the country. Dr. Chang presented the latest statistics and information regarding the importance of mental health and burden of mental disorders and suicide to the Prime Minister of Fiji, Vorenge Bainimarama, and other government ministers.
Like I said, January 2012 to July 2015, 422 deaths by suicide compared to 170 deaths by road traffic accidents for the same time period. And yet we are considering road traffic accident deaths as a major epidemic. Yet in that 3.5-year time period, we're seeing 120 suicides every year. Dr. Chang says one of the aims of the workshop was to inform members of Parliament about the types of mental health issues that their constituents would be facing. The other side of it was to also bring to the forefront that yes, mainly it's a health sector issue, and they should be driving the need to address mental health issues, but it really needs the involvement of all the other sectors. Dr. Chang's presentation touched on mental health in Fiji, budgetary needs for operational costs, the gap in treatment in Fiji, the economic and social costs of mental disorders, and where Fiji stands in terms of handling mental health cases.
Minister for Women and Children Rosie Akbar is calling for greater public participation to address violence against women and children. Akbar made the statement while addressing members of the interagency task force meeting this morning. She says the task force will share ideas and expertise.
Therefore, you can see from the ideas and hear it in the voices that there is a desire to make a change. There is a desire to make a difference in the lives of women and children in the country.
The interagency task force is expected to put together a plan to help the ministry carry out its awareness programs. The upgrade of Waimbokasi Road in Nausori is expected to be completed by the end of the year. Fiji Roads Authority Program Engineer Zaina Khan says the public will have free movement once work is completed. Julie Vatwaliwali reports.
Roadworks have been ongoing for the past few months, and FRA Program Engineer Zaina Khan says the development is for the safety of the public.
We've also looked at enhancing things for the community, so additional footpathing and additional bus stops.
About $13 million has been allocated for the project.
And we will be making some enhancements there for stadium events in the form of extra footpaths. And some of the footpaths we'd already had on the project, we're looking at widening them a little bit more just to give the community, a better outcome.
Meanwhile, the Road Authority has reached the second phase of upgrading the road from the Wuilevu to Nakasi. The road will be expanded from 2 lanes into 4 lanes. FRA Capital Works Manager Ian Hunter says the increased road space will mean 50% more road for vehicles on the stretch of the road. The project will be completed in 2 years. Julie Vatuwaluwali, FBC News.
It's time for sports now. Here's Jamie.
Thanks, Jackie, and good evening in sports after the break. We get the latest from the Flying Fijians camp. And bad news for Wales with fullback Lee Halfpenny ruled out of this year's World Cup. This and more coming up.
छू 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 हे हे नमस्ते फीजी आपके हर एक प्रॉब्लम की दवा लेकर मैं आ गई हूँ 9 से 12 बजे तक आपकी सहेली रेनू छू 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 40 में 20 का दिखना है मैं हूँ ना आपके साथ में मिर्ची एफएम पर 9 से 12 बजे तक मंडे टू फ्राइडे मिर्ची इट्स हॉट
The Vodafone Flying Fijians will be holding a scrimmage session with Georgia later tonight as the countdown to the Rugby World Cup continues. Head coach John McKee says the session with Georgia is mainly targeted for the forwards. Indra Singh has more.
It is now about fine-tuning the plays for the Flying Fijians as the first game of the World Cup nears.
As we get
tomorrow, we have an opposed unit session against Georgia. It'll be very beneficial to us again, particularly for our forwards, when we'll be concentrating on scrums and line out and particularly the maul.
The mentor was happy with a hit out against Canada, saying it has now given him a fair idea of what is needed for his team.
Very happy, particularly with our first half performance. I thought we played very well and really played to the game style and the team patterns that we've been working on.
The side has been in camp for over 2 months now, and McKee, along with his brigade, know the end result will not be known until the first ball is kicked at the World Cup.
Scoring 4 feet.
We made a few errors, but overall, really good preparation for us leading towards that opening game of the Rugby World Cup.
His skipper remains optimistic of their chances against England, but has thrown caution to the wind.
We've been picked for this team for a reason, and for a reason that we're going to play against England, and everyone knows that that task is ahead of us.
Meanwhile, the side will be welcomed to the World Cup on Thursday night Fijian time at the Hampton Court Palace. The opening match between Fiji and England will be played on September 19th at 7 a.m. Indra Singh, FBC Sports.
Wales fullback Lee Halfpenny is out of the Rugby World Cup. Halfpenny ruptured knee ligaments in the 23-19 win over Italy at Millennium Stadium on Sunday. Scrum half Rhys Webb also suffered an ankle injury in the match, but there is no news yet on the extent of the damage. Halfpenny's likely replacement at fullback, Liam Williams, has not played since having foot surgery in June.
Wales do have to stay positive. They have players like Liam Williams that will come in and that can play obviously at full back. We have Matthew Morgan, who I certainly know what he's capable of doing. So hopefully we don't dwell too much on that news. There are players like James Hook who can come back in the fold, experience. He probably will be a little bit fed up of being pulled out to put in, pulled out and put back in. Garth Anscombe, who obviously Warren Gatland feels can do a job and thinks very highly of.
Parliamentarian Samuel Vunivalu, who was part of the 1987 Fijian team that made the quarterfinals, says this year's team has a good chance of doing the same. Rohit Deo has more.
11 days remain before the Vodafone Flying Fijians take on England in the first match of this World Cup. Fiji parliamentarian Samuel Vunivalu recalls the days 28 years ago when, with the minimum of resources, his team reached the last 8 stages.
In those days, in 1987, the facilities and the training was not that good as nowadays. Now we have overseas coaches.
Vunivalu says there is nothing to be taken away from our current team and adds he has high hopes of seeing them in the quarterfinals.
Fiji has a good chance of coming to the quarterfinals. If they manage to beat Wales or England or Uruguay, because the other teams will beat each other too.
Another player who was part of the 1987 World Cup but in the All Blacks team has also spoken highly of the Fijian side.
I think they've got a really good chance. I've seen some really good improvement up front in their fitness and like I said, I think the up front battle will be big. So if the Fijians can match people up front and stay in the game there and then use their Fijian flair, then play with confidence. Fiji are always hard to beat.
Fiji has managed to reach the quarterfinals of the event twice, but face a very challenging task a week from Saturday at Twickenham when they meet England. Rohit Deo, FBC Sports.
Weightlifter Ulina Sangone has secured the first gold medal for Fiji in the girls' 56 kg division at the Commonwealth Youth Games currently underway in Samoa. Weightlifting continued with their good performance as Maria Maretta took out the silver medal in the 58 kg weight category. The game started yesterday and South Africa lead the medal tally after day 1 of competition with 4 gold and 3 bronze, while Australia is in second place with 3 gold, 4 silver and 5 bronze medals. England lie on third with 2 gold, 1 silver and 3 bronze medals. Meanwhile, the Fiji men's and women's 7-side compete at the games from tomorrow. That's it from sports this evening. It's back to Jackie now with business.
More than 6,000 customers of Handy Finance Limited will be able to pay loan installments at any Post-Fiji outlet. The two companies signed a memorandum of understanding today. The chairperson of the board of Post-Fiji Limited, Lawrence Tikaram, says the partnership is an extension of financial services to the people who have yet to take advantage of the financial products available in Fiji.
Post-Fiji is truly Fijian-owned, and it's also a way of giving back to the community by helping them engage in better financial services.
Handy Finance Limited provides many unsecured loans to consumers. Mainly fine weather was experienced over most parts of the country today. A weak trough of low pressure lies slow moving over Rotuma and extends southeastwards over Tonga and Niue. An east to southeast wind flow prevails over much of the southwest Pacific. Temperatures in all centres except Lambasa were in their high 20s. Suva recorded the lowest at 25 degrees, Nandi 29 degrees, Lautoka at 27, Ban Savo recorded 26 degrees, and Lambasa at the highest at 31. Tomorrow's forecast, fine apart from brief showers over the interior and eastern parts of the larger islands. Outlook for Thursday, no major changes expected. The main points again. Prime Minister Vorengem Bainimarama has urged the people of Ovalau not to be easily swayed by politics that will take the country backwards. The Lautoka High Court has ordered state lawyers to submit 2 reports regarding a case of sedition. And the owner of Atlas Trading Limited in Suva has begun clearing away goods from a burnt warehouse in Vatwanga a day after looters took goods from the premises. Now to our poll question for this week, and we're asking: is enough being done to prevent suicides in the country? Visit our FBC website, www.fbc.com.fj, to have your say. And the results for that will be announced in our bulletin on Monday. Remember, you can send us newsworthy pictures and videos on email citizenseyes@fbc.com.fj or share it with us via Facebook page FBC News. And if you're on Twitter, follow and tweet us your news tips at FBC_news or simply hashtag FBC News. You can find us on YouTube, Fbctv 2011 for all our replays. You've been watching FBC News. I'm Jackie Spade. Bye for now.